What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Zuniga Films Podcast. On this episode, I have with me Anthony Ferraro. He's an entrepreneur in the clothing design and manufacturing space. Anthony talks about how he started his clothing company, SWAV Apparel, while still in college, the pros and cons of going to college, and his new business venture, Fullspeed. So without further ado, Anthony Ferraro. For all of you that are listening right now and watching, this is Anthony Ferraro, good friend of mine, known him since high school. And he's been in the fashion game for quite some time, ever since, I don't even remember. You know better than I do. So can you give a little introduction about your background?
Of course. Well, thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate that. You have a wonderful podcast, and I'm happy to be a guest.
Thanks.
Very honored. So, background in the fashion thing. Got into the rags business when I was in college. Mm-hmm. Starting SWAV, underwear brand. We've shot for and done a great job. And it was a men's luxury and performance underwear company. Started that because we were tired of wearing Calvin Klein and Hanes brand that our moms were buying us, and wanted to try something better. And after that, launched and got started, and it's where it is today. We're now doing back-end manufacturing programs for other customers too. Right. People started contacting us saying, hey, you two guys making underwear. We want to make this. We want to make that. And part of that was for some extra side money because, we were investing SWAV into the business. And when I graduated, I needed to get some type of income, not working for somebody else or taken out of the SWAV business. So started Fullspeed and have been helping customers grow their brands and stuff ever since.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
awesome.
been a lot of fun. Love the process. Love making clothes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you've always been into that.
It's been fun.
Quite the journey, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a good one.
That's good.
It's been a great one.
I'm just gonna recheck the levels.
Yeah.
Make sure. Because the last time, because I had Kenny on the podcast last time, and for some reason I was hearing some little interference in it, but we're good. We're good.
Solid.
Always want to double check because the last thing you want is
go through this whole thing, and
you're
then
40 minutes in, and then all of a sudden you realize the whole podcast had a little static on it.
That's not good. Got to run that back.
Yeah. So before let's go back to high school. Was that when you started getting into kind of your love for fashion and creating in that space, or when did that start?
I've always had, appreciation for style. And I remember growing up, in high school it was a little bit different because we went to Servite all guys school. So we really didn't have to care about what we wore.
Right. We're not.
But
really
it was at the dances or going out on the weekends, always try to look clean. You know what I mean? And it wasn't. I was shopping at Active skate shop and stuff. So I was really big into skater, style and stuff, and had a lot of fun with that. And my grandfather, who was a production manager for a factory in North Hollywood, but then he became a suit tailor out of his house and stuff. So he was always looking clean, taught us how to tuck our dress shirts in and do stuff just to make it look a little bit fresh when you're all buttoned up.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I could say I've always had a thing for style and appreciation for style, and then once getting into SWAV and stuff, kind of getting introduced into the actual fashion business, started to kind of even appreciate it even more. And, learning how to make the clothes was definitely something that I just found super intriguing, you know? Yeah, as much as the brand and marketing stuff is also cool too. The creative side is awesome, but the production, making it happen, and is definitely what I kind of fell in love with.
For sure. So after you graduated high school, you went to Chapman, and that's when you started SWAV, right? Actually start producing the under apparel and all that stuff. Yeah. Can you take me through that process, how that started? Because I'm sure there's a lot of, kids out there, a lot of students that are in college and they want to maybe get into the clothing business. Do you have any like tips on like your experience specifically on how you went through that process while going to college at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. I guess where my deal started is I had the idea for basically a better underwear product. It was like around my freshman, sophomore year of college, when I was like still playing football and stuff at the time. And it literally was the most natural kind of like experience for me, and kind of like a light bulb moment, if you will. I went to go to the Brea Mall specifically to buy underwear because I was like, again, tired of wearing at the time, which was like Hanes, Fruit of the Loom. My mom would just buy it, you know what I mean? And I just I got to go like step up my game on that, underwear. Right. So I went to go to Nordstrom, and just like everybody's seen at Nordstrom's, like you go up to the wall and it's just like Calvin Klein 6-pack. You're looking over here, he's got Tommy Hilfiger's like little 4-pack. You know what I mean? As far as, flexing with the abs on the front, you know what I mean? They also sell their items in packs, which is interesting. I never thought about that. But anyway, and I was just like, I'm not going to buy, like, I would feel weird even grabbing that off the shelf and taking it to the counter. So I didn't buy anything. And then I was going to the Apple store, which is across from Victoria's Secret. I looked at Victoria's Secret, and I don't know what it was. I was just like, this is weird. Like, there's a store dedicated to women's underwear, and there's guys and girls like funneling in and out of their stores, always packed. And I was like, I just came from my experience of trying to buy undergarments to like seeing women's, completely flooded in the undergarments of Victoria's Secret. And it was just like, the Victoria's Secret for men. Like, why hasn't that been done yet? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I kind of sat on that for a little bit, and it wasn't until after I stopped playing football to where I was like, okay, like now that I'm done playing ball, like I want to kind of put my time and energy into something. And I just kind of touched the idea across like friends and things like that. Like, hey, what underwear do you wear? Hanes brand or Calvin Klein? It's like, do you really like what you're wearing? They're like, no, dude, it sucks. Like, would you like something better? You know what I mean? And even ask about Nike compression shorts and stuff. Like, no, dude, it makes my legs chafe and the freaking fabric, falls apart. You know what I mean? So I was like, there could be some potential here. And there was like a lot of people in college, individuals, and I could literally go on a laundry list of names. The people who were a part of that process and who I'm super thankful for, and students at the time. And we decided to jump into it. And there's an incubator at Chapman that we got super involved in. So as far as, one piece of advice would be to heavily get involved in things like this as an entrepreneur, especially young, especially in college, when everybody's just trying to help you and, see you succeed. Which they had at the incubator a bunch of lectures from, other entrepreneurs or other businessmen, in all different areas, marketing, finance, you name it. Like, they really had a lot of advisors and people that were there to help. And also office space and cool softwares and stuff that you could use, for students, which is all free. So we just dove into that and met every advisor, did every single thing possible. We would host like team meetings and stuff all at the incubator. And we just started like growing on this thing. And I remember it was like, I think early of 2012, like January 2012 is like when we were like, got the business license and stuff like that, got everything set up. And we were planning on launching like that April, because we had the website, we have everything dialed in. And at Chapman, there was like a ton of film school creatives and stuff there. So that was all dialed in. Like, we had a ton of guys who just produced amazing content. But figuring out the product was like the first thing that we really had to do, because, we were going into making the men's underwear thing. It was like, okay, I'm the type of guy, if I'm going to say, hey, I got this underwear brand, try my product, it's got to be the best damn product possible. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just come out here selling Fugazi underwear. You know what I mean? It's got to be better than the stuff that's out there and whatnot. So we actually very first started out sourcing product on Alibaba.com. It was like just when that had come out, and we had sent over tech packs and like all this information that we thought was going to work. and we ended up just getting from like 3 different factories. The very first product, when we were just like so pumped about it, it was very fresh in the stage, just thought that it was going to be like boom, 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 launch it online, sell, it's going to be easy, let's make money, let's have fun.
Yeah.
The very first package that came back, interestingly enough, had a Calvin Klein waistband on it. Not even like our design, our SWAV logo. Ryan Mick did an amazing job building out the brand and the logo. Shout out to Ryan Mick. And it was a Calvin Klein waistband with like literally see-through underwear. I could put it up right here and I could see you. And I was like, what the? And then the other packages came in. They were just like, they screwed up the logo. The colors were off. The fabric was terrible. You pulled the waistband and like, you could see, you didn't want that. Like you could see through the logo. Mm-hmm. It was just like not good product. So at the time at the incubator, one of the only like fashion related mentors of mine was Ora Villalobos. And she was like, okay, design your product in downtown LA. Here's some contacts. And then duplicate your product overseas. You're going to have a terrible time manufacturing products overseas if you just, hit up these manufacturers you never spoke with before and that whole deal. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Cool. So that's when I started working out of downtown and really started getting tangible in-person experience with creating products. And from like the very first pattern making session we had, like, I was like, this is awesome. Like I love this shit. It's
right.
Cool. And you're able to go to, excuse my language.
No, you're good.
Go to, fabric vendors and stuff and really just dove in, like learning everything about from, the construction to the fabrication to just all the little trim details and stuff that go into making a product, and like was able to, kind of start from scratch and actually be a part of that whole process is like when I like fell in love with it. But now, mind you, like we thought that we were going to launch in April and like, we missed that mark and we didn't go like, it was a year and a half from like that April date when we thought we were going to launch to, the following year. And that was all just spent on perfecting the product. And I didn't really care about, like, oh, we got to launch by this date and whatnot. And it was like, no, the product's not right. We're not rushing this thing. Like, it's got to get right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I'm happy we did that, even though like we did from the start, man. It was amazing. It's so cool to see how much everybody bought into SWAV. You know what I mean? And we're excited about it, and we're excited about the product, the idea, everything behind it was so cool. And I really think that waiting to launch the product for so long and perfecting it really ended up turning out in our benefit, because like once everybody got the product finally, everybody like loved it. And that's why a lot of customers that we have today that are still buying, are the people that bought the first product, and they still tell us like, dude, I would still wear the very first generation SWAVs, like ones that don't even have like an open fly on the front, like because we came out with like a collection. It was like 250 pairs or something was the very first time that we ever like produced something. Dude, we set up our SWAV tent on the Chapman campus, had PayPal swipe cards, and was just running them all day, like, and really just like sold out pretty much of that whole batch, like literally in 1 or 2 days, like on finals week and stuff, right before the indie run and stuff. It was perfect. And
awesome, dude.
And yeah, that was the start of it. That was super cool. And then we did a Kickstarter program, and that was super successful. Had an amazing video done by a Chapman guy, Pasquale, and crushed it. And we had got like, our interns, we had like 13 at the time that were all Chapman students. We were like signing credits. I was like a freaking senior, just signing off credits for these guys. But like they were super bought in, and like we're an instrumental part of like all of the initial success, right? Which was super exciting and super thankful for. And, it just took off, initially, which was awesome. But, like at the time that we were graduating and, we were leaving from school and transitioning from school, it was after like, business plan competitions and stuff that, we had, done and were successful at. It was awesome. It was definitely a transition from like not being in school to, having all the benefits of being a college kid, you know what I mean? And taking advantage of the incubator and stuff like that. Right. So it was definitely an interesting transition. And then that's when, we started taking on some Fullspeed projects, and, SWAV is still doing well. We're selling online. and have a few deals coming up potentially to kind of take that brand company to the next level. And yeah, we've just been hustling really ever since. And, definitely, being in school at the time, taking advantage of all the resources there, really spending necessary time on building the product and doing what's necessary to compete against others in other markets and stuff. I think that took advantage for us, and working with a team and group of people, because the energy and the just the relationships that we all built together as a small college company, and was pretty really cool. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's common to think that you got to do a lot of things yourself, or to kind of solo mission it, or just kind of keep things a little bit more tight knit and not really share as much. But like SWAV is such an open platform that we had guys and girls and everybody who was interested in wanted to like push the brand. We were like, let's go. You know what I mean? You're on the team kind of deal. And that was just such a cool thing, because we had everybody from different sports teams and all over and stuff, which was so cool. And it was a big part to all the initial success, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing my SWAVs right now. Yeah, every day, dude. No lie, I am. And I've been wearing them ever since you showed them to me the first time. That's awesome. It's great. It's honestly a great pair, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. No, I appreciate that. I'm wearing it because I love them. Yeah. But going back to you starting your team, right? What do you think was like a positive factor in you having those people being bought in? I mean, they're not being paid. They're, obviously they're there for some reason. What do you think was one thing that kind of kept them so close knit? I think that not only just myself, but like Jerry, Lieutenant, Nevin, Horace, and all the guys that were like kind of on the, if you will, like top level, like, that were initial starters in this whole thing. We believed so much in what we were doing, and it was kind of like, we're SWAV, we're this men's underwear company, in an incubator full of tech companies, just being like, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, this is a product we're pushing, like, either join the team or get out the way, because we're running this thing, and we're going to make it happen. That, along with like the underwear concept being kind of interesting, and just seeing our passion behind it, I think a lot of people not only just related to it, especially the guys being like, yeah, dude, my underwear sucks. Like, I wear Hanes brand too. Like, I'm tired of this shit. So I think on a product level, people were interested, and the whole fashion apparel thing, like doing photo shoots and stuff, like, on our sets at our photo shoots, dude, we'd have like literally 15, 20 people, like crushing it, like multiple photographers, like multiple different setups, like we had amazing content. And it was like everybody on our team. It was like, you know what I mean? So we were able to have a lot of fun with it. And, I think it was just like that, just entrepreneur spirit, of like, doesn't matter what happens, from the time that we start, we're going to make sure we finish this thing. So I think it was a mixture of things, but definitely it was a lot of the, being bought into what we had going on. Right. And yeah, I just wanted to see it blow up. You know what I mean? Everybody took like, personal to it, because like if they were part of the SWAM team, they were like part of the group. And I always loved it when, they would put it on their LinkedIn page and stuff. And when they were graduating, getting jobs and stuff, like I was on like the reference list. So like I couldn't even tell you how many times like I had, employers call and be like, oh, so they work for your company? I'm like, oh yeah. And I just like gas them up, be like, oh, you got to hire them. Like you have no idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is all true, because like, and that's why I'm so thankful, and why it was, initially very successful, is because, everybody that did put time into it, like really, sacrificed a lot of time, when they had school and other, either part of fraternity or sports team or something, like they always made it a point to, work on SWAV, get to the meetings and stuff, which is incredible. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that was a lot of the reason why, is just being bought in and believing in it. That's awesome. Important. Yeah. You brought up a lot of great points that I think a lot of people can like take away from. I think the first thing
was you definitely had like a clear vision on what you wanted. Like you just talked about, this is SWAV, this is what it is, this is where we're going. You either with us or you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It was exactly how it was.
Yeah. Let's see, another one that you brought up that was pretty good. Let's see here. Like just the fact that you asked people if like the underwear that they had at the moment was good or not. Like you actually kind of like went around and did like surveys before even just launching your own product. That way you can tweak it. I think that was very important. People forget to do that.
So part of being the incubator, part of being like in that process, you had to do what's called, I forget the book that was on it exactly, but the business model canvas is essentially like a accelerated version of building a business plan. Basically you have an idea, you're able to incubate it in this like canvas process where it talks about your customers, your relationships with your customers, your channels with your customers, the key partners, the key resources, key activities, your cost structure, and basically your revenue stream, how you're making money. And part of that consumer research was getting, they were saying, you go out and survey, ask people about this, ask people about that. So not only were we just asking our friends this, like on campus, we literally made surveys, went to South Coast Plaza, the Block in Orange, Irvine Spectrum, like any local mall.
Right.
We had like 4 or 5 or 6 interns at a time, freaking surveys out, pen and paper, asking people like,
that's awesome.
Well, yeah, dude, it was the coolest thing. And yeah, that's like a big part. And, starting any kind of idea or project or product or something, like really getting those questions answered. Because, like for us, like what was so awesome in the process and just learning that, like we were really validating a lot of things that we, do guys hate their underwear? Does it suck?
Right.
Like we were able to validate that from like unbiased opinions and stuff. And asking like other key questions about target market questions and stuff like that, and some things that we learned definitely knew from that whole experience too. But the fact that we were able to validate it just gave us more confidence and strength to be like, dude, look how many people said that they hate their underwear, or you know what I mean, or they don't know other brands, or they're just putting down Hanes brand for them. They don't know any other brands. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was just a good point that you brought there. It's like, yeah, testing or getting those questions answered, because if you get those validated questions answered, validation to those questions, then you got something.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you learn that, if people like, oh, dude, I love Calvin Klein, I'm never changing a brand. Or like, oh, no, I know this brand. You know what I mean? Or, I guess the moral point is like, before you dive into something, you have to do like a complete validating process. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's true.
Which is important.
Yeah, that's very important. Speaking of SWAV, that's still going on. It's strong, and people are still buying. Like the brand loyalty is still strong. Like that's the one thing that is awesome. Like even to this day, because I know you've made some shifts into your focus in terms of like business, which is Fullspeed, which I'm gonna lead into. But dude, just like the brand loyalty, like you're still getting sales while that whole shift is happening is
it's
awesome.
A blessing. Definitely. And not even just local. It's not even just like friends or family that we know. You know what I mean? It's so like definitely after the Kickstarter, we got customers all over the country, customers that are overseas. Like, every order from US to Canada is free shipping online. Right. But we got guys that are, in Asia, Europe, South America, like all over that are, consistently buying, 2 times, 3 times a year. Good amount of product and stuff, and everybody's always asking us, when's the next collection coming out? When's this coming out? Yeah. And we have so much in the vault, it's not even fair, and that keeps growing and stuff too. So, there's a lot coming for SWAV, and I'm happy that where it's at right now is really giving us such a, still a lot of room to innovate, blow people's minds, and be, very, very new and different, you know, with what's coming up. So that's definitely very active. And fortunately, we have such good loyalty that it sustains it without us really having to touch it much.
Yeah.
And we still get new customers and stuff, run minimal ads, like barely. And yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
That's really cool. And also the thought came back to me, the fact that when you were in college, you just did it. Like you bootstrapped it. And I think, like, here, what's your take? Because I always ask this for like almost every guest. College. What were like the pros and cons for you?
I was naive. I was really, not that I thought it was going to be so easy, but like, I think the fact that like had this idea, we're going to go 100% and like not turn back and not care what happens, like helped us get through so many hurdles and obstacles and stuff, because like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do, how much money you got or whoever's got, you know what I mean?
Right.
To put behind you, like, you're going to screw up, you're going to fail, you're going to fuck up, you're going to want to, quit at times, you're going to like, sleepless nights or whatever, or at least you have to go through like, that period of time, because especially in college, especially when you're young, we didn't know shit.
Right.
Like, I never ran a business. I never worked for I never interned anywhere. The last job I had before, that was working at Balboa Bay Club as a barback. And, but like, we were so bought in and just believed in the idea that it didn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that not knowing anything was a big advantage to getting to where we were, because like, it was just being bought in on the idea and the fact of everything. And like, when you think about it and you break down a business plan, like, if you're like an investor, you have a lot of money, unless you're just trying to throw it out there.
Right.
These investors are like looking at every single part of the business. They're seeing, everything full scale, and like, it's not easy to get people's money. So like, if these investors like aren't really putting money into every single business, as a college kid, just starting out, never ran a business, like from an investor standpoint, it's a little risky. The guy doesn't know much or whatever, but like, on the other perspective, it's like, motherfucker, you don't even know me. I'm about to start this thing, and give me your money because I'm going to make you rich, kind of deal.
Exactly.
So like, I think that when you're young, you gotta, be aggressive, obviously be humble. Don't think you're the coolest shit out, because if you haven't started a company and sold it, or been super successful, when you're starting your first business, this is your first business. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna go through a lot of different periods where it's gonna suck. But I always tell myself, like, I feel like the best thing I do is didn't quit or didn't give up or really get scared, because there was never a moment at SWAV like I really thought I ever wanted to quit. There really wasn't. There was like a couple hard times when it was, to get to that next step, or there were some opportunities like that we wanted to get some money, or at least we're pitching for some money, like these business plan competitions. Right. And like, we won a little bit of money, but we never got like a big seed investment or anything like that. So I think there was like some frustration at that time, and it was something my dad actually, my dad's awesome, dude, because my dad, like, he's so funny, because he's an individual business owner. But he's just a sales dude. Like, I hits the sale. He sells doors, locks, and frames. Like, not a sexy business at all. But my dad is just like, hits the road. Like, is hilarious. I could go like a whole segment on my dad. But like, he like really motivated me during the time of starting SWAV, because he knew like how hard it is to run a business. So when I had this idea, like, Dad, I'm going to try this underwear thing and run through the incubator, he's like, sure you want to do that, Ant? Like, starting a business isn't so easy, dude. Like, and like, when, like the whole time it was perfect, because I'd be like, I'm going to do this shit, dude. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, this is gonna be easy. I see you running your business. I can run a business.
I can see where he's coming from, though. It's like, totally. He's trying to, because like, obviously, like, before you plan on starting a business, you think like everything's going to be like unicorns and rainbows, and it's going to be, it's going to be like pot of gold everywhere. But I can see where he's coming from. He kind of wants to keep you grounded in reality, 100%, though,
100%.
Yeah.
And I love him for that, because I literally was like, use that as motivation, which I think is a good thing. Like, to be told that you can do anything, or, to be given everything, to expect that you can do anything you want isn't the right way to go about it. I think that you need to come from a humbled perspective and, have that confidence and stuff, but know that, like, you either got to use your resources, you got to just be smart about what you're doing, because, it's not just because you can sell stuff online, you can post some pictures on Instagram, it doesn't mean that you're going to get sales or anything, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
It starts with the product.
Yeah,
really.
Totally. Oh yeah.
As long as you have a quality product, I mean, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And, sustainably too, because I think there's a lot, some companies out there that might sell bullshit products or come out with like a product that is decent to buy, but not decent enough to sustain, a long lifespan. And, that's why it was like at the beginning of the gates for SWAV, I was like, we got to produce the best product, and we're going to wait to put it out until then, because if you start off with a shitty product, then it's not going to work. And, if that's what we're going to set our expectations of as a company, to put out bullshit products, like, we're going to, that could become a habit, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this question. Do you think college is worth it? What's your take on it, based on your experience?
I would say yes, because, is it worth it for everybody? Not necessarily, I wouldn't say. Is it for everybody? No. Is it worth the student loans and shit that I'm paying off? That's a tough one.
Right.
I think that it's tough for people to go to college and get a really good college education. And I don't think that everybody gets maybe the same education or, opportunity or takes advantage of what they had in college. Like I, feel like I took advantage of the resources and stuff.
Oh yeah,
there,
definitely.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And I think that you're still so young that it's good for people to still get into the college system, because at the end of the day, like, maybe not for all careers and stuff, being a doctor or a lawyer where you have to go to law school and stuff, you have to, apply yourself and learn some shit. But if you're just going for 4 years and looking for a job after, really no employer is like really like looking at your college scores and stuff. So it's like, is that going to get you hired? I think the main thing behind college is proving that you're able to complete something or complete college. Like if you went to college and you completed it, okay, you're able to get through, because everybody knows that you're just partying shit during college and stuff. Like, not everybody, but you know what I mean? It's just like you're 18, 21 years, 20 years old.
It's like the truth. That's what happens.
It's going to happen. You know what I mean? And like you're out from your parents' house at the first time.
Yeah.
So I think that it's necessary for most people. And even some professors like that I had, during my experience there, like I really appreciated learning from them and stuff too.
Right.
And in high school, I really didn't apply myself in school because I was just like all football, which I was a dumbass about that for, you know what I mean? I wish I applied myself more. And then I remember getting to college and kind of like realizing like, especially after quitting school, it was like, damn, like, I don't want to be a dumbass. You know what I mean? Like I want to, like feel smart and educated. And that's why I just like, dove in, not only just on school, but, SWAV and whatnot. But once I started SWAV and shit, school was kind of like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't. Your focus can't be in like different places at once.
Yeah.
But
but I completed it. You know what I mean? I got the diploma,
and
it felt good to be able to have completed that, just because, not everybody does too. And so I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
But I think there is some definitely good aspects to it, especially if you are taking advantage of stuff. Because once you're not in school, bro, nobody gives a shit about you. Or you're just like the numbers of like people in adulthood.
Yeah.
Every man for himself kind of a deal.
Right.
And like, now you got to be to the judgment of some boss or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to start your own thing and whatnot, like, I think that going through a college that supports entrepreneurs and stuff is a huge benefit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a tough one, just because also of how much you can learn online, and how much education online there is. And as much as the world is creating money online, and it was a really interesting turn. Like I remember going to some classes or presentations on like marketing from like older people that still the internet was very new to them, and like going online and learning better material from like a way younger dude,
right?
Or like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So there was like a big shift that I think of how businesses work is with the online and like with kids growing up on the internet and stuff. And like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of younger kids that know how to sell products better than a lot of older individuals.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, so yeah, it's a toss up, but I think for anybody that just blatantly goes like, oh, college is fucking stupid and pointless.
Right.
You don't fucking need it.
Yeah.
It's like, relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just depends on the person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what is your end goal? Like what are you trying to, or where are you trying to go? And is like college going to either help you or not? And whether you're the type of person that likes structure or doesn't. I mean, for most people, I mean, well, for me personally, I can't talk for most people, but I liked it because I was still trying to search for like what I wanted to do, and it kind of gave me that outlet.
Totally.
And it was good because of the resources too. Like you said, the resources is good. Like if you like utilize the resources to like the fullest potential, then you know you're good. That's all that matters. You know, as long as you apply yourself, really. But yeah.
Yeah. And there's definitely going to school and fucking off and my bad, dude.
Dude, this podcast is raw. And
Mom, if you end up watching this, I apologize.
No, dude. This is the way it should be. I like to keep everything authentic.
Cool, appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't go to college and screw off for 4 years. But
yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Apply yourself. Yeah. Okay. Moving on now for college. Fullspeed, dude. Fullspeed. So now you're still running SWAV, but you have now shifted over to your company that you've been running for how long now?
It's been about like a good 3-4 years for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So talk to me more about Fullspeed and what that's about.
So yeah, it was just kind of a thing that naturally came together from starting SWAV. You know, we had a lot of attention, you know, online and started getting inquiries from other people who wanted to manufacture products or were currently manufacturing products and saw that we had, you know, SWAVs and it was highly reviewed and, you know, knew that we had a good product and stuff and was like, hey, I'm trying to do this idea. Can you help me manufacture a product? And it was good that SWAV was underwear. Mm-hmm. So a lot of all the inquiries that were coming in, you know, were not related to underwear. You know what I mean? So, and at the time too, again, falling in love with the process, I was just making underwear. And I remember like people would ask me all the time, like, oh, like what else can you make? Like, or what else can you do? And at the time, like I didn't make anything. And I was like, I can make anything we want now. Cause like, you know, kind of understand the process and, it just kind of occurred to me. It's like, I feel like I'm going to be better for SWAV, the better I am at making products. Mm-hmm. So when other people were contacting us like, hey, can you help us make this? It was like, okay, cool. So I can, you know, help them build their products, you know, not in a bad way, but taking, you know, using their money to build their products and learning how to build, you know, other products and stuff, just kind of, you know, and make money along the way that I don't have to take out of, you know, from SWAV at all. Yeah. You know, it can, you know, make money elsewhere and still use the same resources because the more business I bring them, the better my costs get, you know, the better relationships I have with them because they just want to produce. So it just made sense and started taking on other projects and stuff. So from denim to swimwear to, you know, obviously more activewear to basic knits and, you know, suiting, you know, we've touched it, we've done it, we can do it, and help clients that, you know, are serious and have the cap to get into it. And, yeah, it's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? And I don't really label myself as a designer. You know, I'm more of a producer. So it's fun to work with other designers who are super talented at, you know, creating designs and different ideas and concepts and stuff and being able to, you know, really come from a like I don't judge anybody's designs or anything. Even if I like it, I don't dislike it. It's like they believe in this product and whatever they want to create. Like I'm going to buy into it with them and help them, you know, make it happen. Cause I think I know a lot of customers and stuff that I've worked with that have stared at the same design for 2 years and haven't been able to produce it, trying to work with multiple other manufacturers overseas, locally. You know, I call them like the horror stories. A lot of people, you know, before working with Fullspeed have just spent a lot of time, money, and energy and resources that just kind of fell through.
Yeah. And
like I just get super pumped. We're like, oh man, you have no idea like how much it means to me that, you know, we can do this and you know, so it's cool. I enjoy it a lot. And yeah, I definitely feel like it's made me better for SWAV. That's why like we have so much in the vault that we've developed and haven't come out with yet, and you know, different fabrics and materials and stuff that we plan on using, and you know, so it's cool, you know, and definitely confident saying that we can make anything, do anything. Really some of the best, if not the best resources in downtown LA and like, you know, throughout the country that do supply different fabrics, materials and stuff like that to make it. So it's cool. I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. It's fun. So like, what are like three things or like three pieces of advice for someone that is starting a clothing business, or they already have designs and they want to find manufacturers, or if they're dealing with manufacturers, like what have you learned for like that connection to like be even more, I guess to flow better? Because from your experience, you've, you know, went to different manufacturers, you've tried China, you've tried here, until it was like a process of trial and error. Totally. But what do you think would or could possibly help those people?
Yeah, there's definitely a few things. Obviously, finding the right manufacturer is important, and that's going to be a process that takes a long time. Because even like you said, when we were in China making products and stuff, like of course we were contacting, you know, Alibaba's easy to type in an inquiry and find some manufacturers, and it's like, oh, we found a factory, but like until you sample multiple times with these people, run through production, you know, do proper, you know, quality control protocols and stuff, you know, that test them of their ability to produce effectively for you. You know, there's a lot that could happen that, you know, where you spend time or wasted money and things like that. You know, you don't want to just bite on the first people that pick up the phone or answer the email and stuff. Right. And even locally, like when we were doing that whole year and a half of developing our product, like we had gone through multiple different factories, like sampling our stuff, and the ones that we decided to buy in with, you know, basically join and start with are the ones that believed in us most and were willing to, you know, work with us on pricing and, you know, wanted to watch us be successful, because everybody else was just like, you guys are the new guys. We know you can charge you a shit ton because you don't know how much this shit really costs. And there's, you know, we see a ton of you all the time. So like chances are you're not going to make it even into production or pass through your first production. Cause like, you know, and that's why I thought Fullspeed is such a cool business, because everybody at one point, or it's like a theory or in my mind, like whether you want to, like everybody at one point wants to start like a brand or something, put it on a t-shirt, whatever. And if you can sell it, fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Kind of deal. So it's like always going to be sought out for as far as like a product, whether you're producing it or whether you're selling it online. Right. People just like selling brands, you know what I mean? Which is cool, and building brands. So, you know, I think that you have to, you know, find the right, you know, production partners for you. And even before that, you know, it's going to take capital, and not even just like, you know, me coming from you know, because my business is obviously producing clothing, you know what I mean? And, you know, not that I have like a crazy high price tag or anything, but to do what's necessary to develop your ideas and whatever, it's going to take capital. Yeah. So like, you know, even from just the development side of it, like you got to put necessary capital into it, to kind of get into production, and it takes a decent amount of money. You know what I mean? I think that, And it makes sense that if you don't know the process involved in making clothes, but you just want to start a clothing company. I mean, if you're buying Gildan or Hanesbrand and screen printing and shit, like doing all that, right, then it's a different story because you don't have to spend up as much. But if you're trying to do custom cut and sew, like for real deal, making your products, not just buying pre-made stuff, like it's going to take some money.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit hard to do it locally because there's people who will charge you like $1,000 for a pattern. You know what I mean? And we on average on a price would, sell it for 125 to 250 depending on the product, possibly a little bit more if it's nicer. And like there's a lot of people selling in between that range. You know what I mean? So I think that if you first initially start contacting these people, you can kind of get screwed on pricing. It's because in this business, a lot of people charge premiums for their their time and their energy and everything and what they're able to do for these brands. And, we just try to get people into production, So, but at the end of the day, it's still going to take some capital. So if you're trying to get into the business for real, think about getting a little bit of investment money or saving up and making sure that you are putting, and I'm saying you have to spend like crazy amounts of money.
How much do you think would be like just a good amount just to be able to invest in the manufacturing? Just like a ballpark.
It depends on how many products, but like if you're trying to run like,
let's say t-shirts,
just like basic t-shirts.
Yeah. With like a design on it.
And we're buying the fabrics, we're dyeing the fabrics, we're cutting and sewing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say from development and stuff, $3,000 to $5,000. You know what I mean? Which isn't, for this business, a lot of money. If you do it right. To be honest with you, dude, before launching SWAV and selling the product, we at least spent like $10,000 on straight up development. Yeah. Like all those samples and all that shit. I mean, and if you're counting like gas money, we're commuting from Orange County down there, like, it's the money adds up, like for sure. Yeah. And I don't think it was money down the drain by any means. It's like you're developing the products and like you're going to spend some money and not get the products that you expected. Yeah. Like, especially when you don't know a lot, like you're going to do stuff like that. Especially when you're trying to perfect your product too. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot, it takes, right. And, but I would say if you're trying, and that's not counting marketing expenses and stuff like that. So you want to have like at least $5,000 to $10,000, to spend on developing and producing your product and marketing and sales and stuff at minimum. You know what I mean? And if you're spending your money right, all the more the better. You know what I mean? Because you're able to do more. You're able to, save a little bit more for marketing and stuff like that. Yeah. And it just money makes you move faster. I think that's the most important thing about money. It only gives you the freedom to do what you want. It gives you the ability to move fast. But that $5,000 to $10,000 mark, I should say, we shouldn't, I don't want that to scare people because you could do it for less for sure.
The light went off.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it's cool. Yeah. But if you're kind of working budget to budget, investing your paycheck, each week into a little bit into the product and stuff, I think staying lean and having that, I don't want to say like poor mindset or like, very stingy kind of mindset is good because, you can go in and you can take that $5,000, $10,000 and spend it easy and get nowhere. Right. Exactly. So like, I think that's an important thing too, is knowing that you're spending your money wisely, obviously. But it's going to take some money if you want to do like the for real deal, big dog production process. Right. Especially locally. That's true. That's true. Cause you could, and if it was just a t-shirt, if you were coming out, I just want to buy t-shirts and produce it online, like, and sell it online. I would tell somebody you should probably buy from a really good wholesaler that has blanks. If you're just starting out. Custom cutting like a basic t-shirt, like unless it had like a crazy fabric or special design as far as the construction. Yeah. Like, maybe that's a little bit different, but definitely if you're just like planning on selling t-shirts, even with like basic hoodies and stuff, I think you could start decently enough with pre-made, not Gildan or any of the bullshit brands, but even though, and not to talk shit on Gildan or anything, because there's a lot of streetwear companies that buy basic Gildans for super, super cheap, put their, screen print their logo on it and sell it for crazy money.
Yeah.
And they do super well at it.
That's true.
So it's like, I can't even knock that hustle at all. You know, what I mean?
Right?
That's smart as shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
right?
know what I mean? But like, I just don't have fun with that. So
yeah, everyone has their own niche.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So if it's working for them, it's
100%.
More to them.
Exactly.
I'm going to make sure this light.
Yeah, let's get this light on.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So I know I want to talk about, because I always like to try to connect, because obviously coming from a video production background, right? And I like to bring different people from time to time as guests, but they're still in the creative space. Mm-hmm. But I always like to connect it to videography, photography, and then like them working together. So like, I know in the early days with SWAV, for example, you made it a point to really get good quality photos, invest like in photographers that, took good quality photos. I said that, but also like video as well.
Videos, everything, graphics design, everything, yeah.
Right. And I remember watching those. I was still in high school, but you're 2 years older than me. So that's like when SWAV was, I think when I was like a senior, you were like a sophomore then, and that's when SWAV was starting to really start up. Yeah. And I saw those videos. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So like, what's your advice in terms of someone investing in or like finding good photographers or videographers for their products? When do you think they should start looking for those?
So we were super blessed and fortunate to have gone to, a school. Like a lot of that was like timing for us too, because of like the film school and the number of talented like videographers, photographers, and just creatives in general that were there and that were down to work and hustle. And, whether it was for their school project or they just wanted to test some new shit out that they just learned. Like, for example, Kevin Wolf, and his team was the ones that did the Chapman Run, Get Lucky.
The Get Lucky one?
When that Pharrell song came out.
Yeah.
And like that shit was on TV that I don't even know what the number count to this day, but it had over, I think 200,000 views or something like that.
That's awesome.
And like completely blew up.
And that was like free marketing.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Kevin just approached us and was like, yo, man, like, I have this concept and this idea. Your product would be perfect for it. And he was planning on. I don't remember because I can't remember if it wasn't. It was kind of one of those things that he had this idea for how he wanted to shoot this shot for the Undie Run, and it was basically filming. Everybody should watch this if you haven't seen it already. It's like literally the coolest shit out. He was filming everybody backwards of like the Undie Run. It was like a weird kind of misconception thing.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It was like
the main guy. He was walking backwards the whole time, and I think they reversed it in post in editing so that it looks like the guy is walking forward the whole time while everyone is running backwards.
Yes,
is that
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
It's super cool.
That was a good take on it. Yeah, that was awesome.
And then one of our interns was at the time was close with the people that was doing it, and they were like, oh, we might want to think about getting SWAV in on it, because he's got to be wearing something. It's an Undie Run. Everybody else in the videos was wearing underwear. Yeah. So he was wearing SWAVs, and then so that was super cool, and got us a lot of traffic and great content. I mean, you know what I mean? It was crazy. And yeah, just like to your question, like I think there's enough. People that are out there just trying to collaborate, you know what I mean? And trying to, I think you have to approach a lot of these individuals too in the right way because, and present it as like a mutually beneficial relationship because everything should be ran that way. Mm-hmm. And really, don't just approach them, and just be like, hey, I'm trying to do this. You want to do it for me kind of thing. Or be like, really kind of sell the idea and sell, throw your ideas behind it. Cause I think creatives like to work on stuff creatively, with people in collaboration. And, they got plenty enough of good ideas and other people hitting them up to where, if you don't got all the money or whatever, you got to like really position it right, you know? And yeah, that's a huge benefit of school and going somewhere like Chapman, like SC's got a huge film school and other schools do too. You know what I mean?
But let's say they don't have that kind of like opportunity or that focus, or that platform, I mean, to really find those people? Like, let's say they're not in school or they already graduated and they're looking to, let's say it's a videographer, photographer, and they're looking to, work with
a brand.
A brand, let's say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I know we were talking about brands talking to photographers or videographers, but
vice versa.
That's a good question. Vice versa this time.
Because I would say that it's in like every brand is looking for that. You know what I mean? And for example, we had a lot of different videographers and photographers working with us at different times, and they all brought something new, their own creative eye, their own edge, and we loved that because everybody was able to capture their version of SWAV through their own way of doing it. Right. So everything was like looked kind of the same, but was different. Right. So I'd say for any videographers and photographers out there, like especially with social media and stuff, like hit people up through the DM personally, or if they have emails in their bios or wherever, right. Reach out to them. Because like if you just show them your portfolio, be like, hey, I do this, I'm a photographer, VR, whatever. I would love to shoot content for you guys. I would say initially, if your content out of the board, like I would, if I was one, I would be like, I will do a video for you for free. Or I will, I have this concept, that I think would be great for your brand. Like, would you love to sit down and talk about it? I'm willing to bring my resources and not charge you guys and, whatever. Right. And because if you execute the job, they're going to bring you back and they're going to want to pay you. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's guaranteed. And, there might be some companies that are just scumbags and stuff, but like, anybody that does something like that, I'd love to pay somebody like that. And, I think that, like I said, that just with how valuable content out is, like honestly, videographers, photographers, and creative, graphic designers, like I think have a complete edge and such a valuable, product or service that they provide in this day and age. Arguably, some of the most important. Yeah, it's like computer science coding guys like 5-10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like when that was like the hot thing to do. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like now creating content is arguably the most valuable, important thing for any business now. Yeah. So like not only just brands need it, like, they're open to new ways of doing stuff. So I would just contact them directly, be aggressive with it in the fact of like, contact everybody that you want to work with, you know what I mean? But obviously come from, have a plan before it. I would, before contacting people, think about who you're contacting, going in with somewhat of an idea or a concept catered to them, you know what I mean? So they don't feel like you're just blasting everybody out like, oh, this guy has something that he thinks is pretty cool for us, like we're open to think about it. You know what I mean? And show up when you got the stage, you know what I mean? Like, and be prepared for that kind of, because you don't want to screw something up like that. You know what I mean? Right. You got to be professional. Totally. Yeah. Totally. Exactly. So why, like going forward to like now, like what's your why? Like what keeps you doing what you're doing today, gets you out of bed in the morning, ready to take on the day? What is that? Just simply put, dude, is just to create and do something great. You know what I mean? I think that all of the, entrepreneurs or businessmen or people in the past that have done something cool, started a company. I mean, they're just people, they're not like these superhero characters. They're just people that had a vision, had an idea, and wanted to see something through. So it's like, ever since, it's like, why can't I do that myself? You know what I mean? And like, I want to do something great that not only just benefits myself, but, anybody around me that I'm working with. And if I'm super wealthy and successful, I want to help, give back in any way that I can and do things that, like I might have mentioned, is like money gives you freedom. Right. It helps you move fast. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like doing something great to the point where we're providing enough value that we're compensated for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis and having a house by the beach on the cliff. Like, that's all part of what I want for myself.
Uh-huh.
But that's just because, like,
that's great.
There's some motherfuckers out there that have it like that. So it's like, why can't I have it like that? That's definitely not my main motivation behind it. But,
right.
You know, definitely. It's
just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, we're not doing this shit for, you know, just for fun. You know what I mean? I think that part of the money behind it is proving that you actually created that value. You know what I mean? So, you know, just being able to create something, do something great, and definitely within what I do. I mean, seeing a product go from like literally just a sketch into like the actual physical product, like I love that process. So creating products and doing stuff is just always going to be exciting to me, and working on it and the process involved in that. And what's special about what I do, especially with manufacturing locally in LA, like, you're really helping give jobs. Like, it's not a joke. Like, the whole manufacturing business was huge for the United States, you know, post leaving overseas and going to China. Like, a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of like skilled labor that didn't have experience in other fields. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people who lost jobs that like couldn't just go apply anywhere or do another job. So and even to this day, like, a lot of the sewers in the factories and stuff, you know, fortunately it's picking up. But like, you know, sometimes they get worried about losing their job, especially because, like, what are they going to go? What are they going to do? They've been doing this for years.
Right.
So I'm really inspired by, you know, bringing as much work as I can to my factories and stuff. And even like the fabric vendors and stuff that are like even holding on by a thread or have been struggling, or, you know, it's hard because they don't have websites online and they're, you know, trying to, you know, to just get by and make it. You know what I mean? It's cool to be a part of their success. You know what I mean?
Right.
And those relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've loved that, and, you know, I want to own our factories and stuff in the future, and, you know, be able to provide businesses to people. You know, so that's cool. You know, I really find passion in that, and yeah, you know, just make my parents proud and. Trying to get that Ferrari.
Hey, there you go. There you go. I'm sure you will. You will.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah. So what's in it for the future? Anything in terms of, I guess, Fullspeed's your main thing, obviously, but like,
I would say
anything down the line?
I mean, as much as I love Fullspeed and helping out and doing what I do for that business, you know, SWAV is still like the baby project.
That's your like your passion project.
Yeah, totally. And I call it the $1 billion baby, because, like, you know, out of all the products and products trying to serve a specific market, you know, products that have competitive products, like, I still believe and know that SWAV has extreme amount of potential. I feel like I'm still giving away some secrets, you know, to the underwear market, because there's, you know, still not the one top brand to come out on, you know, and really do it like how we have started to move way into that. It's just still, I think, a huge opportunity to serve that market. So, which is why nobody else can come into it, because we'll blow them out regardless.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Fullspeed is, I guess, more so on the day to day. And again, that was all to, you know, put some food on the table. You know what I mean? Not have to work somewhere else. But yeah, I still love that business, and you know, it's been a balancing act, if you will. But I want both businesses, and they will be successful. You know what I mean? I mean, I think for every entrepreneur to understand that the first 10 years are going to be like, you know, tough.
Right.
You might have some pivots, and like, that's what I kind of saw it as. And that's something that you learn as far as being an entrepreneur, is like, you're not always going to be right. And you're going to learn at times, you're going to have to change your original direction. Like, you know, you can't, it's like if you go and trying to do something and expect a different result, but you're getting the same result, they call it insanity or something. You know, it's a quote that people have heard before, but I mean, it's literally true. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think that definitely in my course of, you know, building, you know, my own businesses and trying to make shit happen, like, I've learned, like, you know, for me with that Fullspeed thing, it was like, okay, go work for somebody else and get a 9-to-5 just to have some type of income and try and push SWAV on the side, or it's like, start Fullspeed and servicing these clients that you have coming at you. I almost felt like it was like, if I have this business coming at me, it's kind of like, I almost was like, is it like bait, like trying to trick me, or is it, I felt like it was a blessing and an opportunity to be able to, you know, create more business for myself, or not just for myself, but to be able to have the chance to not have to work somewhere else and continue working with my suppliers and stuff and building the business. It felt right. So, you know, it's a little bit of a bummer that it took a little bit of time away from SWAV. Sure, definitely. But it's definitely benefiting SWAV in the long run too. So yeah, both are very much important, and you know, the next few years, 2020 is gonna be a hell of a one. That's cool, because like now we're starting to transition back more into putting the resources behind SWAV and stuff, because Fullspeed's like getting there to the point where it's operating pretty nicely.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be exciting. It's cool.
Awesome. Well, that's it. That brings us to the end.
Is that wraps? Yeah, we can keep going if you guys want.
Anthony can talk for days, which is great. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I bet I talk too much. Probably
awesome content for the podcast. But dude, no, thanks again for being on for the first time. I know I'm gonna have you on again.
Let's do it.
To share more of like the behind the scenes things you've learned from your business and whatnot. But no, dude, thank you once again for being on.
Cool.
I'll put more info on where you guys can, you know, look him up, see what he's up to, learn more about SWAV and Fullspeed. I'll put more of the info in the description. But with that being said, dude.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks again for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll be placing Anthony's info in the show notes so you can stay connected. And if you know a friend that can benefit from this, please share it. So thanks again for joining in. And until next time, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.